Door 100, let's go! Who are you?
My name is Jeff.
You're friendly? Oh, good. I have been lost in here for so long. It's so great to see a friendly face. Tentacle, I suppose.
Game Theory just released part 2 of their Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, and I want to talk about it. A lot of you suggested that I do one video per part of the timeline, but for reasons you'll see, I think it's best that I do one video for parts 1 and 2, and a video for any other part that he comes out with. Originally just part 3, but it seems like there might be a part 3 and a part 4. We'll see. So slices, put on your aprons, and let's bake ourselves a theory. First, let's gather our ingredients. Typically, when I talk about somebody else's theory on this channel, I like to just assume their theory is true and talk about the repercussions that theory would create. I do this because I find that debunking theories can be a bit harsh, and if I just sit here agreeing with the theory, then what was the point of the video? It's a tricky line to work with, but since I can't really talk about the repercussions in the timeline if the theory is the timeline, we're gonna have to actually do some theory critique. So right up at the top, I want to be clear. Whenever I'm critiquing this theory, keep in mind that I'm not critiquing game theory or MatPat, just the theory itself. Without any further ado, let's start with part 1, the era before the games.
Our story begins not in the 1980s, or even in the 1970s, but all the way back in the 1930s.
A bold start to be sure, but not unbelievable. Right away, I kind of want to play defense for game theory here. I've seen a lot of critique on this part 1 for a few reasons, mainly the time placement and the type of show involved. A lot of people on Twitter were incredulous that a grizzly bear could literally sing, and talking bears were apparently canon in this universe. I agree, bears can't literally sing, but what else would you call this in advertising? When performing animals howl along with instruments, the advertisements say the singing animal. This is a practice as old as performing animals and is on every America's Funniest Home Videos episode ever. No one is saying that the actual bear of Fredbear's singing show was literally singing words. It was probably just a band playing music and a bear that was roaring to the music with it, which in the 1930s, that's a pretty good show. As far as the date goes, it is wild to start a FNAF theory in the 1930s, I understand. And while I'm not exactly sure what time would be better here, I don't think 1930s is that unbelievable, to be honest. Let's just say hypothetically he was born in 1930. Then by the time William Afton dies in the Follow Me minigames, he's about 60-ish years old, which I think is completely reasonable. Besides, look at his canon human model. It's not like he looks young, or good for that matter. I've also seen some people pointing out that that would mean Henry would be over 100 years old by the time we get to FNAF 6, but would that be assuming that Henry and William are the same age? Because I don't think they would be. Frankly, we know nothing about Henry's age, but we can speculate it. Fredbear's Family Diner opened in the 1970s, and we can assume that Henry had a restaurant before this, at least if we're going off of the game theory continuity. So we would need to estimate an age range where he'd be old enough to own and operate a restaurant in the 60s, but still be young enough to be kicking and do the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator stuff during 2023. That's a 60-year difference, but if Fredbear's was open in the 70s, it's not a huge leap from where we're starting anyway. I'd say 25 is a reasonable age to own a restaurant, which would then have Henry reaching the prime age of 85 years old in Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator, which I know that sounds pretty old to be doing everything Henry does in that game, but keep in mind, even if that's not true and Henry was 25 in the 70s, then he'd still be 75 in Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator. Like, no matter which way we slice this, Henry's pretty up there in age come FNAF 6. Speaking of a younger Henry though, that could add to the resentment that William has towards him. Not only has this person come in and basically did everything William did, but better, and then bailed him out of bankruptcy, but it's gotta sting deeper when all of that is coming from someone 8 years his junior. The rest of his part 1 I think is pretty straightforward, and most of the stuff I think a lot of people agree on, myself included. Henry and William running Fredbear's Family Diner and eventually Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, experimenting and creating new animatronics, and William's resentment towards Henry getting a little bit bigger every day. This is the main reason I didn't want to do a video on just the beginning of the FNAF timeline is so hard to theorize about because we really know very little. I think this interpretation is fairly cohesive. Frankly, I don't have a lot to say about it outside of that's an interesting way to think about it. It's not my preferred way, but I don't fault you for it. Today's video is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan Injury Law Firm. Injured and don't know where to start? With Morgan & Morgan, it's so easy. You don't have to visit a law office or schedule this timely consultation. In 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim to Morgan & Morgan. In fact, you can submit your case details, sign contracts, upload documents and medical records, all from your cell phone. In fact, with Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to get off the couch. And why wouldn't you want to? They're America's largest injury law firm, and that means they have the resources to fight for you. And fight they do. They've recovered over $15 billion for their clients. Because when you hire Morgan & Morgan, you don't just get a lawyer, you get a dedicated legal team, case investigators, paralegals, and customer care specialists. And representation needs to be easy to find when you need it most. Like when you get in a car accident, there are steps you have to take when that happens. Of course, make sure you and the other person are okay. Call the police for a police report. Contact your insurance. And then make sure you have representation. And even though with other people, representation can cost a lot, not so much with Morgan & Morgan, because their fee is free, and you only pay if they win. If you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less, without having to leave your couch. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/rightos, or dial #law. That's pound 529 from your cell phone. Thanks again to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's video. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Batteries. This is exactly what I needed. I mean, they're AAA. I built it with AA in mind, but I can make this work. I can contact the outside. So now let's move on to the meat of the timeline, part 2. If you've been subscribed to this channel for any amount of time, if you haven't, it's right there, just saying. I think a lot of you can guess how I feel about this part 2. I agree with a lot of it. Let's touch on some major points. Right away, this is the preferred order of the early deaths in the franchise, although I could swap one of them. But let me tell you how validating it is to hear someone else venting their frustrations on how the game really sets up the idea that Elizabeth dies before the crying child. But then the game also says, actually, the crying child dies first. Because he's right, so much of the games point to Elizabeth dying first. The empty sister room in FNAF 4, the camera system in Little Fredbear's, the kid seeing something and getting scared of it, the stomach mouths on the Nightmare on Elm lines. Except for the fact that the sister location is stated to open after a Freddy shuts down, and if Elizabeth died first, why did Afton build murder robots? It just doesn't work, so you just have to pick one and try to justify it otherwise. I don't fault anyone for going either way on that order. I personally do think it makes more narrative sense for the crying child to die first. At least it makes William a much more compelling character if we look at it that way. Now we have another point of contention. Midnight Motorist. At this point, whenever somebody asks me if I could have one thing clearly answered by Scott about the FNAF lore, which happens a lot actually, my default answer is what exactly happens and is being told to us via the Midnight Motorist minigame. Because, man, we have no idea. It's the one sticking point in older FNAF games that still no one has a clear idea on. At least, I don't think so. The best any of us can do is guess. So much of it is cryptic, and with a minigame that has as many details as Midnight Motorist, pretty much the most detail-packed minigame in the entire series, we don't know what it means. I've had a few interpretations in the past on this minigame, some I agree with more than others, but I think overall I tend to stick with my first one that I made a full video. In essence, it agrees a lot with what MatPat presented in his timeline video. Junior's being mentioned as an allusion to the drinking problem, the gameplay of Midnight Motorist itself alluding to drunk driving, the tire tracks from the security puppet minigame. However, I don't fully agree with the locations he's specified. It's a minor thing, but he states that this restaurant, and by extension the murder of Charlotte, takes place at Fredbear's Family Diner. Her death and the crying child's happening so close to each other is what eventually shuts down the restaurant. I don't agree with that. Here's why. In the FNAF 4 minigame, we see that the crying child's house and Fredbear's Family Diner are practically next door to each other. And yes, you could argue that this is just the game making it so you don't have to walk a full length of blocks, but one, they're at least close enough that a small child could walk from Fredbear's to his home very easily, and two, the sister location breaker room doubles down on this layout of the house and Fredbear's. Furthermore, The sister location bunker is connected to the power sources of the animatronics in Fredbear's Family Diner, and we are pretty sure the sister location bunker is located in or directly around William Afton's home. So if the sister location bunker is close enough to Fredbear's Family Diner to have direct access to the power of its animatronics, and it's in or around the Afton household, then by the transitive property, we can assume that Fredbear's is fairly close to the Afton household. And if Midnight Motorist is anything to go by, William Afton drives a long distance to come from the murder site. But even if we're not going off of there, do we know a building that would be near William Afton's home in Midnight Motorist that follows a generally same structure of layout? Yeah. Juniors. Keep in mind that these minigames try to tell us as much information with as little direct information as possible. That's why I think Juniors was the perfect clue. Juniors is stationed there not only to show us that William probably has a drinking problem, but that Fredbear's Family Diner is closed by the time Midnight Motorist happens, and since then has reopened as a bar under new management. Freddy Fazbear Pizza would then be a restaurant further away. A restaurant that could explain the gameplay of Midnight Motorist. This would even further be supported by the books. Freddy Fazbear Pizza and Fredbear's Family Diner are a good drive away, and Fredbear's is in a pretty no-name town, which is what looks like Midnight Motorist. After all, for a brand new restaurant, it was probably more financially viable to go with a location that's a bit more remote, and then when they got more funding from Fredbear's, they could open Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in a more populated area. This would also give Afton even more reason to go after Henry. Not only did Henry's machines kill his son, and Henry's ideas initially bankrupt him and have to be saved by him, but now Henry's robotics caused the only restaurant with any remnant of William's direct characters, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, to be shut down. If Fredbear's Family Diner shut down, that'd be the straw on the camel's back. At this point, sure, Henry saved William's business, but he also fully took it over. None of William's original characters would be in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but one of Henry's was Chica. That could even be part of the reason why it was the first suit William used to stuff a child into. He probably has a lot of resentment if Chica's party world truly was Henry's IP. All this to say, even though it could be argued a few different ways, personally, I think the most likely order of events of the early deaths in the franchise are the bite of 83 sending the crying child into a coma who would later die, Fredbear's being shut down because of this, then William going to the Freddy Fazbear Pizza location and killing Charlotte. We then see the Midnight Motorist minigame. Then later, he goes on to kill children at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurant to one, get back at Henry and shut down his restaurant. After all, his robots shut down Williams, or possibly just to get back at the children who picked on his son when he was alive, or even just out of anger. Before we move on in the timeline though, I have a few more points for this section. I pretty much fully agree with his interpretation of Midnight Motorist's characters, William, Mrs. Afton, and Michael being the runaway. But I do have one disagreement. At this point, I'm not sure if the crying child could manifest a ghost like Fredbear. Sure, Michael could have just seen a hallucination, but I think the footprints in the mud are telling us that something happened, not just Michael's imagination. After all, I don't even think the crying child can move around Golden Freddy. He's seen to be the most of a victim in this entire franchise. He's kind of a mirror for Jake in the Stitch Line Stingers, and I probably will at some point do a video just about the Stitch Wraith Stingers, but I'm not done reading them yet. However, for the record, I don't think the Stitch Wraith Stingers are canon to the game's timeline. I do think they are a very, very direct and clear allegory for Cassidy and the Crying Child within Golden Freddy, which, by the way, is I think the direction that game theory is going to be taking in this timeline. But we'll get there when we get there. All this to say, I don't think these footprints are due to a hallucination or ghost. Instead, I think these footprints would belong to an animatronic exoskeleton placed there by William to keep Michael from breaking out, something that apparently Michael has been known to do. I think most interpretations of these footprints are valid, but that's just my preference. Oh, and to be clear, if you're interpreting things in this franchise and you're using at least some modicum of evidence, I think that's perfectly valid, even if I completely disagree with your conclusion. But even if you don't, can we as a community just agree to be a lot less vitriolic to new ideas in the theory space? Like, not to get on a soapbox, but a small but very loud section of this community needs to chill. The whole point of theorizing and brainstorming is coming up with new ideas, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and seeing what we can learn for it. Literally, like they used to say in school, there's no stupid questions. Theorizing is just coming up with new questions. The reason there's no stupid questions is because we don't know the answers yet. And even if we did, it's still valuable to see how someone else thought about something. Take a look at FNAF's recent Midnight Motorist video. Do I fully agree with it? No. But are there parts of it that I think are really interesting and worthwhile that I want to delve into? Yes. But even if I disagreed with every single second of that video, it doesn't excuse this. I want to be perfectly clear, and I am not mincing words. If you are in this community and you see a fan theory about a cryptic Pizza Bear game that you don't agree with, even if it's clearly and demonstrably wrong, and your first reaction is to belittle, spread hate, be condescending, or even worse, aggressive or threatening, you need to look inward. Seek therapy. I can't help you. But I can tell you, going online and acting like that will not fill the void that you have in your heart. Anyway, moving on with the timeline. I actually really like the justification for Cassidy being the one you should not have killed. Up until now, I personally have never found a good, or at least a narratively satisfying reason why Cassidy, of all people, should be this vengeful spirit. But making it so that William got carried away, perhaps a bit too violent, and mirroring Toy Chica's descriptions of how she would get hers, works really well. Not to mention the Toy Chica cutscene that would tell us how William killed Cassidy comes like 1 or 2 cutscenes right before the Golden Freddy twitching at the end of Ultimate Custom Night. It just fits really well. Also, I really like using this detail from the FNAF 2 minigame to show us when William first saw possession happen. I never really thought about it in context. And then that would give us a reason for the fun times to exist. William directly seeing a robot possessed? Of course he would try to recreate that. And he would need test subjects. How to get those? Make robots that can kidnap kids for you. But when it backfires on his own daughter, he scraps the entire idea. It's too dangerous, too public. Everything would get put in the bunker. That way, he still would have made robots to kidnap children, but never actually sent them out because of the backfiring on his own daughter. But he still needs test subjects. And this is another big deviation I have with the MatPat timeline so far. Now, it seems like he's going towards Molten MCI, a theory that I personally believe. For those not in the know, Molten MCI is the theory that Molten Freddy and Scrap Baby came from Ennard when he split apart. Ennard came from the Fun Times, and the remnant energy within the Fun Times came from the souls of the missing child incident victims. His belief is a pretty common one I've seen, with a lot of merit to it. Essentially, the Follow Me minigames happen in order, but they don't happen all at the same night. William collects the soul-possessed metal from the animatronics, and then leaves, does the experiments, and then comes back, either for more metal or the Spring Bonnie suit. That way nights 1 through 4 happen, then there's space for sister location to happen, then the Night 5 one where he dies happens. I think, personally, with the information we have currently, I disagree with this interpretation, mainly because I don't think it's necessary to break these up like that. Go back to FNAF 2. We are told not only that the withered suits are being used for spare parts, but the website teasers like Something Borrowed, Something New double down on this idea that pieces from these withered animatronics are being used in the toy animatronics. I think that because of this, the toy animatronics become possessed. Not by the dead child incident that we see in FNAF 2, but rather the pieces of soul from the missing child incident from the original animatronics. It would kind of be like a rudimentary form of remnant injection, taking haunted metal from one thing, putting it into a new thing, and then that new thing becomes haunted as well. How does that idea help us? Well, in the newspaper at the end of FNAF 2, we know that the withered suits are kept in case they can reopen someday, but the toys are scrapped. Now all William would have to do is dumpster dive to some scrapped animatronics and get the remnant out of there. After all, he was at the FNAF 2 location when he first witnessed the effects of possession. That's why their movement and sister location is so erratic. Erratic, just like the toys in FNAF 2. The other part I'm a little fuzzy on is the placement of Follow Me, and with it, the spring locking of Willie. However, because more details about Follow Me are most likely going to come in Part 3, we can save that for that part. We're kind of running up against the end of Part 2, and there's things that haven't been mentioned yet that I think are going to be mentioned in Part 3, most of it being Michael's involvement in this part of the timeline. But we'll see when we get there. For now, let's take stock of where we are. So far, I like this theory a lot, and I agree with a good amount of it. The things I don't agree with, I can at least see where he's coming from. So far, I don't really have any major problems, and it really helps that he's sourcing where he's getting this information, either from the games or the books. And I can see that the books are being a big help on interpreting some of the uninterpretable parts of the games. Frankly, trying to make a timeline without the books gives you some weird results. If you want to see those results, go ahead and click that video. For now, a huge shout out to the best patrons, the Toasted Slices, Emberus, Charlie Bean, Lovey Puppy, Stormachow, Just BKZ, Chickpea, Lola Fembo, The Viper 26, Leon, James Reiner, Emily De La Sierra, INGD, Givo, Snowblossom, Nika, Raven Eris, Angel, Glamrock Bonnie is an Agani, Dionysus, Bucky Ray, Mariah R, Razvan Rooks, and Loose Harriet. And until next time, as always, stay toasty, Slices.
Welcome to my game, player.
God, eat both Nick sticks. Guys, I can't eat both of Nick's sticks, okay? That hurts me.
Before watching, please be informed this from the birth of Fave's channel to the day his cancellation finally came through, and how that is still currently affecting his reputation in 2023, so stay tuned. So if you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on bell notifications so you will never miss out on a brand new video I post to the channel. So with that said, let's get back into the topic of today's video. Before we can go into full context as to understanding the situation, we need to know some of Fave's background. So, who exactly is Fave? Fave was a Roblox YouTuber who was dedicated to making content that was considered entertaining and sometimes useful and informative. For instance, he would make videos explaining the history of certain Roblox games, users, updates to the platform, and so forth. He even made videos with other YouTubers like Kanekokin and would join some of Kanekokin's videos going over issues on Roblox. Most undoubtedly, during Fave's time as a Roblox influencer, he became widely known for videos such as 10 things you can do with one Roblox, 10 ways to get banned on Roblox and its sequel, and so many more. On August 28, 2010, this would be the time he would create his YouTube channel. Alongside creating his channel, he would then begin to upload typical Roblox gameplay videos involving him and his friends. Unlike most Roblox YouTubers during his time, he was noticed differently and was spotted for his unique style of creating Roblox videos. Most Roblox YouTubers at the time would create tutorials, funny comedy videos, and so much more of the typical niche, and still do, but his content focused more entirely on the older, more nostalgic, and historical context of Roblox. Originally, however, although he played Roblox with his favorite 2A's account as shown throughout his channel, that wasn't always the case. When he first began playing Roblox, he originally played on an account called Fave simply with one A, as it is clearly indicated in his channel name. Not much needs to be said about it other than the fact that the account got quickly terminated for the mispronunciation of a Roblox item called Mr. Tentacles. But whether you consider that right or wrong, that doesn't change the fact that the allegations that were slowly floating into the community about Fave weren't true. Like other types of controversy that occur on the internet, what began as simple little accusations would soon take turn on Fave. Throughout the years, people made brief accusations that Fave was talking to / making sexual remarks on innocent young girls via Discord and Snapchat, but no one seemed to care enough or believe it since, after all, this is the internet we're talking about, and to this, Fave would claim these rumors were not true and place them aside, that being until recent times.
Hey guys, what's going on?
It was a cluster. A very fun cluster.
What is the name of our ship?
Antares Imperial Navy Sinkable 2.
Why?
Because it's unsinkable 2.
It's not good.
What happened to the unsinkable one?
That was our battleship last game. It got sunk.
Well, why does the water look like a tarp? Like one of those blue tarps.
Oh! Enemy destroyer! Enemy destroyer! 16!
Starboard! Enemy destroyer! Starboard! Stop saying starboard! I don't know which side is starboard. Left or right?
Right! Right!
My right or your right?
They're behind the mountain, they're hiding.
Alright, I'm turning the ship in case there's torpedoes.
Wait, there's another enemy destroyer.
Enemy
Right
destroyer!
side.
Enemy destroyer! 315 north!
Enemy dreadnought spotted, 13 north.
Fire the destroyer on the starboard. Ignore the dreadnought for now. It's probably not gonna hit us.
Right side, fire, fire, fire.
That's our destroyer.
No, you spats! The enemy destroyer, not ours!
Go, go, go! Volley fire!
Fire, fire, fire! Kill it!
Bro, majority
How
of
did you miss, bozo?
You guys suck! Oh my god! How are you guys missing?
Use of academy training wasted.
Oh, he's gone. We saw one.
That's the one! That's our destroyer!
That's ours!
Fire!
Fire.
Why, Joel? Why are you guys shooting?
I was gonna say, isn't it ours? Oh no!
Oh, we're so f***ed. Fire! They're gonna launch their torpedoes! Please don't miss! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god!
That took way too long.
Torpedoes!
Yeah, I'm dodging, I'm dodging!
He's whipping it. He's whipping it.
Get the other one!
Fire!
Go, go, go! Take him out!
Boslin got it! Come
Two
on!
hits! They're almost dead! Oh, torpedoes! Get him out of here! Fire!
Down! Let's go! We got him! To the depths they go.
Good hits, boy!
Enemy battleship! Enemy battleship! Fire! Shit!
Oh crap, we're taking fire.
These randoms have major skill issues. They're firing too high.
We're getting hits in. We're getting hits in.
Someone told the enemy to stop shooting at us. I gotta go pee.
Oh, incoming! Oh,
Your force down. Keep firing.
Super Spectre damage!
I think I got a good hit there.
Keep firing. We're gonna go down.
Keep fire. They're down a turret. Our ship's rusting.
We're good, we're good, we're good! We're not good, we're not good! Come on, hit them!
We lost the finder.
You're hitting. The sun's in our way. We're blinded. Incoming.
Enemy mark.
Back.
Oh my god!
I don't think we can take any more hits.
Let's take out two. Is gonna make it?
Yeah.
We got it.
Oh my god, it was a train! It was a train! Let's go!
We won by one cost.
Supreme victory!
We're not sinking. We're tactically moving downward.
Everyone.
Where's the carrier? Where's the carrier?
Right here.
Right
here.
here.
On me. On me. On me.
Oh, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it! Let's go!
Kamikaze.
Go, go, go! Go, go, Oh, that was beautiful. That was fantastic.
Tank, you really do deserve a back massage.
Cue out your 2 refills. You know what you have to do.
Oh my god, I see Dave's laser just f***ing kamikazing himself.
Mortalin, you got this.
Yeah, Boston, kamikaze! Banzai!
Medal of Honor right there.
You're fighting against Japan.
And they say Americans aren't brave.
Launch torpedo, launch torpedo, launch torpedo, go! We've been hitting the citadel, captain down, someone else steer the ship!
Oh my god.
Falling.
Do my head. Do my head.
Get up here. Give me. Oh!
Well, it was nice knowing you.
Our team depends upon you.
All we have left is a cruiser and a dream.
Kick him. Kick him.
Fire. Front cannon, fire.
It's not looking
Kick him.
Yes! What's left? What's left? They're carrier, right?
No battle.
They're a battleship. Okay, we'll have to be really careful about this.
Oh no. Here comes the volley.
Ah, they missed! They missed!
Fire, fire, fire.
Oh!
Miss.
Oh my god, this is scary, man!
Good leads, good leads.
Good leads, guys.
We might actually f***ing get them.
Whoa!
Maybe not. Maybe not.
No, maybe not. Oh shit! Ah!
Take cover, take cover.
Are they rusted? Are they at least rusted?
I don't know. They're not rested. They're not rested.
Ooh, taking some big hits.
We got him! We got him! We got him! Yes! Let's go!
There's a 1v1. There's a 1v1. Jesus Christ.
That was some insane clutch. God damn.
My ass clenches every time they fire. My ass clenches every time they fire.
DD landing, let's go!
U.S. Marines, sir, yes, sir, hoorah!
Fire grenade, get down!
Sir, yes, sir! Hoorah! Hoorah!
Battle buddy!
Battle buddy, over here, battle buddy!
You've been stabbed because you don't have a battle buddy!
Mom told me to take out the dishes.
Alright, we're dropping you boys here to backstab them.
Okay, thank
Right here. Drop. Go, go, go.
Up. Get the f out of my car!
Clicks! Grab that guy!
I'm reloading!
Why always reloading?
I don't know.
Are you finished? No! Yo. It was at this moment that these two dumbasses realized that the APC is indeed kinda OP. This f***ing car can only be killed by these flat guns, bombardments, planes, and boat. So basically, if we just circle around here near the hangar, there's gonna be no boat, only one flat gun that we have to watch out for, and a place to hide in case we hear or see sh**s coming from the sky. With this plan and my recently obtained driver license, we were basically
Fucking invincible!
现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋。
I think I'm stuck.
They're low. They're low.
Remember me?
I'm constantly high. I cannot fly sober.
Enemy APC in our hangar! Oh sh**! We'll take control of their vehicle!
Hey bro. Hey, we are appropriating this vehicle to the Antares Empire. Now go. You are now an Antares.
We all know that Nico's Nextbot always updates and brings awesome Nextbots in every update, but a long time ago, exactly on August 2, 2022, on 7:53 AM, they released what was known as a medium update, which included 3 new Nextbots, a kill feed, and some optimizations for the game. The 3 new Nextbots were Cootie, Laurel, and Unknown. This happened a long time ago. This is back in 2013, 2012, and this was actually a 37-year-old Farmington woman who went missing in November and was found dead in Wisconsin, and someone was actually arrested. Well, the person who, you know, did this crime. She was also known as the Suitcase Lady, and a lot of people actually did talk about her being called the Suitcase Lady in Nico's Nextbot in the Discord server. Nico, Patty, nor anyone ever knew what Laurel actually came from. Then they realized, oh my god, wait, we actually now know the reason why it should not be in the game. And here's when they said on August 3, Laurel will be removed. The reason why is because turns out it was a police sketch of, well, corpse. And we didn't know that fact. And yeah, they removed her immediately. The thing about Laurel is that I never really liked her as a Nextbot. Like, legitimately never liked the sound she had. It had a really eerie sound. Like, it actually felt like death was right in front of me. I'm not joking when I say this. I don't know where they got the sound. I'm sure it's not related, obviously. But I guess the mixture of like the face and the sound just felt like absolute horror. I never really found an Nextbot scary in general, not really, but Laurel specifically always made the hairs of my arms just, you know, go up. Now obviously they took the person who, you know, did this crime into custody and all that, and you can read the whole news on the website. It's actually a actual newspaper thing, so you know, it's legit and all. And after this, Nico's Nextbot made sure that they never messed up up like this again. And they made sure they know every new next spot. They actually do proper research first. I don't know how they ever even found out like about this person in the first place. Like, who suggested this next spot? Maybe someone suggested it and they just added it, you know, without doing any research. Probably what happened. But this is a person that was already, you know, decomposing. So, you know, that's why she looks like this. So, yeah, that's about it. It's pretty creepy. But yeah, regardless, all you guys. Alright, so we're going way back at Nico's dude. This is like so early on. I don't even know. Like, this is what does it say? July 27, 2022. Okay, so yeah, this was like one of their first announcement in sneak peeks. And yeah, this was like very, very early. And there are some clips here, some videos about the very early versions of Nico's next bots, which I found pretty interesting how you can dig up these things. Oh my god, this fish. Let's start with this video first. Oh man, it just feels classical. You can even hear Quandel Dingle back in there. Classic Nico's next one. A SpongeBob. Ugly SpongeBob. Oh, this is when they were leaking the GM and then Russia was coming to Nico's next spot. Pretty cool, pretty cool.
I'm killing you.
Oh, remember when they were just making the Bloxy Cola? This is so long ago. Kinda crazy it's been this long already since they, you know, made this thing. It's been like half a year ago already. Can you guys believe that? Death Ragdoll. He made it much more funnier. Let's see. Is this still a thing? I think it is, isn't it? I don't know if it's as crazy as it was before. Let's go check announcement now. This is back in the day as well, like July 27, 2022. This was the physics overhaul update in Nico's next plots. I remember that video on this random kicking glitch. Oh look, another video. Gaming stream from Nico Patty. Oh, video's private. Well, damn. Nico stream, watch it now or pay the price. How am I gonna watch it? I can't. Alright, let's go check patch notes. What is this? The first thing I see here. Is this sliding arms better or more visible? Let's see. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it looks good. Looks better. I like it, even though it's irrelevant already. Some YouTubers who play the remainings and 8-Bit Ryan. Yep, I saw that. Oh my god, the toilets! Let's go! Uh-oh, run. Wrecker, run! Run!
Fucking sound is playing.
Hey, no saying bad words. But yeah, that's basically it. There are so many things you can find in here. Like, if you just scroll, so many things. Which is pretty epic to, you know, look around. It's relive some memories and stuff. Not a bunch of videos, to be honest, but there are a lot of things here. Do you own the new Epic Various merch? Well, if you don't, you can go buy it at my website. Link is in the description. And if you can't buy it, don't worry. I'll be giving away merch at 100,000 subscribers. So subscribe if you haven't yet. And onto the video. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think. Stay epic. And orange.
Analog horror as a genre on YouTube is nothing new. With the explosion of series such as The Walton Files, Mandela Catalog, and countless others in recent years, the success of such series is palpable. So there will be undoubtedly people who will try to take a stab at analog horror, try it out for themselves. Enter Urban Spook, a modestly sized channel who, 2 months ago, began their own analog horror series which is still ongoing. But you may be asking, what sets it apart? Why'd I choose this one? What makes it so different? Why don't I show you what makes it different from the rest, and I'll deconstruct all the episodes that have been released so far, and maybe give my predictions of where the series will go from there. Without further ado, let's get into it. All the episodes in the series are presented like police reports, the in-universe explanation being the author of these videos had found a series of VHS tapes in the basement of his apartment complex and was converting them into digital. The main premise of the series comes in right here. There's a serial killer at large, leaving behind a trail of bodies. What makes this serial killer different, however, is he leaves paintings made by him for the police to find. This is what makes it really scary. Our big bad isn't some entity or some cosmic force we can't comprehend. It's just a deeply disturbed individual in his gruesome crimes. As the narration points out, 6 months ago, police discovered 3 paintings in an abandoned storage area linked to some recent murders. Our first victim was a woman by the name of Carla Gray, who had been stabbed 36 times in the face and found with all her teeth removed. What police seemed to link to these murders was the painting with the title Carla's Teeth written on the back of the painting. And here we have our first of many paintings/images that the series has to offer. I found Urban Spook makes these paintings himself, and I have to say, good job, man. They have this uncanny valley feeling to them that you can't really shake off. You'll be seeing what I mean as we continue to see more of these paintings. The second victim was another woman named Jackie Graham, who had been found drowned with 27 stab wounds to her perineum. From what autopsy had shown, she was alive during the stabbing. She was found in a bathtub and being depicted in the painting choking Jackie in her final moments. We now know that the killer has an affinity for mutilating his victims in odd and painful ways, usually leaving them to suffer for days on end, like our last victim, James Miller. He was found with his face completely torn off and his wrists slit. From what the autopsy had gathered, James was alive for days without a face, much similar to Jackie. Probably left to scream in agony as he bled out from the cuts on his wrists. I think James's painting takes the cake for the creepiest one, titled James's Secret Face. It just shakes me to my core and I don't know how to describe it. The eyes look like they're staring into my soul. Along with those paintings, there were more discovered linked to more deaths, and as we'll soon learn, it seems the killer premeditated these murders and seals the deal by painting them. There were several unidentified paintings depicting several unknown people. After the case went public, photos were sent to the police seeming to depict the faces of 3 victims in the paintings, but others have still not been identified. After initial discovery of the paintings, another was found titled Self-Portrait. If we take this at face value, we now have an idea of what the killer looks like.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
And with that, we move on to episode 2.
After an unknown amount of time from the first video, police officer Bill Collins goes missing along with his wife and daughters. It seems that Bill found the self-portrait in his house, but doesn't know how it could have gotten there. As the police searched his home, they found Bill's daughter hanging from the ceiling in the attic. What makes this even more messed up is that the child was just 2 months old. And if you think this killer was disturbed, trust me, it gets worse. So you may be asking, where did he take Bill and his wife and the other kid? Well, look at the title, you silly goose. 12 days after the search in Bill's home, the family car was discovered by the beach, partially driven into the surf. A painting was left inside the car, titled Long-Necked Angel, and it of course depicts Bill's infant daughter. Later investigations revealed that the child's name was indeed Angel. An abandoned lighthouse nearby instantly drew police attention as they went to investigate. The door had another painting, this one of a face. Whether this is connected to another victim is yet to be revealed. Inside, they found the body of Daniel Williams, a teenager who had gone missing. His body was burnt to a crisp, and he's been lying there for weeks. This connects to the painting Daniel After the Fires, as seen in episode 1. Police soon realized that there are tunnels underneath the lighthouse, finding the bodies of mother and daughter Jennifer and Lisa White. who had been missing for several months. These two new bodies connect to their respective paintings, Jennifer's last stare and Lisa's secret face. From the looks of it, Lisa was killed in a similar way to James Miller, having her face sliced clean off and being left to bleed out in agony. Jennifer, on the other hand, we'll get back to later. As police made their way deeper into the tunnels, they found a moist barrel that had an awful smell. Inside were meat and bones of several people. Forensics came back and said the remains belonged to the remaining Collins family. Reports also showed that they had an obscene amount of amphetamines in their system. For all intents and purposes, the killer seems to be getting them high on drugs so that he can mutilate them for as long as he wants. Which is what I think also happened to Jennifer. Looking at her face in the painting, several photos of the Collins family were also found surrounding the barrel. And I'm going to be real with you, man. When the first time I saw these, I flinched. Like, oh my god, these freak me out. And as I'm recording this, I'm still getting the chills, you know? But that aside, the last photo shows the fourth unknown individual. And judging from the self-portrait painting, this is our first photo of the killer.
The Beck twins, Corey and Margaret, went missing a few days ago. Being 11 years old, it caused quite some alarm and investigation started right away. 15 days later, their bodies were found inside an abandoned paper mill. What makes this discovery even more gruesome was the state their bodies were found in. The twins were bisected crosswise, and Corey's lower half and Margaret's upper half were sloppily sewn together. The rest of their remains were yet to be found. Corey's genitals seemed to have been removed completely by pulling force. Meanwhile, Margaret had a brick forcefully shoved down her throat, shattering her jaw and neck in several places. The brick had the word meat written on it. According to Corey's friends, the week before him and his sister's disappearance, they had dared him to go inside a cabin with his camera. He went in alone and soon came out of the cabin screaming, claiming he had seen a face. From his friend's account, his arm was bruised and he had dropped the camera. As part of the investigation, police went into the cabin in search of this lost camera. Perhaps it could contain some clues in relation to the killer. Upon entering the cabin, they found a false wall revealing a crawl space behind a closet. Corey's camera was found within its entrance. Inside, there were these photos. Nothing too special. Some rock, what looks like a wire. Standard for, oh, hello. So now we have a second photo of the killer, and it seems like he tracked down Corey and then kidnapped his sister and him after they had encountered each other. At least we now know who the paintings Scream, Maggie Scream, and... Man, this guy was really messed up. What we still don't know is how the killer is able to get the names of his victims. Perhaps getting their names from the weeks of stalking he does in order to find his victims in a vulnerable position. But that's purely speculation. The next episode was released 5 days ago, so let's look at that.